And welcome back. The lack of people listing their houses for sale is becoming a bigger and bigger problem. So for example, based on a brand new report from Redfin, new listings fell 25% from a year ago, which is the 8th consecutive month of double-digit decreases. In addition, we're also seeing a lack of contracts being signed between buyers and sellers. In fact, pending home sales fell 19% from a year ago, which is the biggest decrease since January this year. So in today's video, I'm going to share the latest housing market update according to Redfin that was just posted today at the time of this video. And of course, I have a lot to share in today's video, so let's go ahead and dive right in here. And thank you so much for joining me in today's video. I actually really like sharing the latest housing market updates with you guys. I would look up these reports on my own anyways, but instead I share them with you guys. According to Redfin, people are reluctant to sell their houses right now because, of course, they do not want to give up their low rates. Although rates are down from their November peak, rates in November and late October were around 7.4%. However, though, they say here this week's average is 6.27%. But this is based on Freddie Mac's weekly survey regarding weekly rates, according to them, at 6.27%, which I'll just share with you guys the exact rates today, which is April 14th. Average 30-year fix for people with great credit is at 6.50%. And that's an increase of 1.35 percentage points compared to 1 year ago, because at this time, 1 year ago, rates were averaging at 5.15%. And going back to Redfin's report here, they say here that 85% of homeowners have a rate far below 6% right now. So according to Black Knight, as of March 6th, about half of all people who have loans on their house right now, a first loan, have a rate at or below 3.5%. Half of all people who have loans right now have a rate at or below 3.5%. And of course, today rates are averaging at 6.5%. On top of that, 2/3 have rates at or below 4%. And of course, because the vast majority of homeowners right now have rates far below current rates right now, they're very reluctant to sell their houses. And getting back to Redfin's report here, it says the bright side for homeowners who are deciding to list their houses for sale is that well-priced houses are being snapped up in bidding wars in markets where demand outpaces supply. So as you guys all know, I'm a real estate agent here in Sacramento, California, and homeowners in Sacramento County right now are getting on average 3 offers received for each property for sale. That's based on my own analysis of all the pending home sales we have in Sac County. So 3 offers on average. But for houses priced below our median sold price of $500,000 in the county, in the range of $300,000 to $500,000, on average, home sellers have received 5 offers for each property listed for sale here. Obviously, there's some very big differences here. Some houses are sitting in the market for a very long time, but on average, 5 offers received for the price range of $300,000 to $500,000 in Sacramento County. And that's likely due to the fact we have a lack of new listings hitting the market in Sacramento. And coincidentally, Redfin actually touched on this. It says new listings fell from 1 year ago in every single one of the 50 most populous U.S. metros. New listings falling compared to 1 year ago. In fact, they dropped the most in Sacramento, California, as well as Oakland, down 47% compared to 1 year ago. So we're seeing a lack of new supply, which is causing our housing inventory to stagnate or actually decrease, and also causing bidding wars here in Sacramento. Followed after Sacramento and Oakland was San Francisco. New listings decreasing by 43.2%, San Jose decreasing by 42.9%, and San Diego a decrease of 41.4%. The scarcity of houses hitting the market, along with elevated rates, is holding back sales. Pending home sales dropped more than 30% in each of those metros here, more than the 19% nationwide decrease. I want to add something here is that yes, due to the fact that new listings are down by 47%, this is causing home sales and contracts being signed between buyers and sellers to decrease as well. but we can't ignore the fact that demand is so much less today compared to 2021 and 2022. So a decrease in home sales is likely due to the fact that we have not as much new supply, but also home buying demand is down greatly compared to the past couple of years. All right, changing gears slightly here, let's talk about home prices nationwide, because Redfin's reporting the median sold price decreased by 2.3% year over year to roughly 364,000, the biggest decrease in more than a decade. Now, I want to be 100% transparent with you guys, is that they do not mention the fact that prices have been increasing ever since more or less February this year. In fact, look at this. Right now, the median sold price at 364, down 2% year over year. But going back 2 months, right here, the median sold price was at 344,000. This means, by my dumb math, that home prices have increased 6% over the past 2 months. Now, this is something that I have not really seen being reported, because often we get news headlines regarding how home prices change compared to 12 months ago. So even though that home prices are down 2% compared to 12 months ago, that is not telling us the full story, because prices, or home sold prices, have increased by about 6% since February this year. Now, here's a couple different ways to look at this here. So here's 2022 in black. In blue, here's 2023. Down 2% year over year, but increasing ever since the middle of February this year. So prices rising, but not the same rate we saw back in 2022, which obviously makes sense because 1 year ago, rates were averaging at 5%. And people back in last year, the first half of 2022, were in a rush to buy a house in order to lock in their low rate because rates were expected to increase. This year, we're not seeing that. So even though prices have increased by about 6% compared to 2 months ago, this is not a repeat of 2021 or the first half of 2022. In any case, hope you guys appreciate that additional analysis. It's just something that I have not seen been reported, because often we see that prices are decreasing compared to 1 year ago, and people are assuming that prices are still going down, where in fact they are not. I'm just giving you my unbiased reporting and want to share both sides of the story here. Anyways, here's what Redfin also had to say. Prices fell in some areas where they rose in other markets. I would say this makes it very challenging to report the latest housing market updates. And frankly, I'm having a hard time doing that over the past couple of months, because our market has been very, very much volatile, and it seems to be fluctuating week to week and month to month, given the volatility in rates this year. But I'm just doing my best, right? Home sold prices have decreased compared to 1 year ago in 29 of the 50 most populous U.S. metros. The biggest decrease was Austin, Texas, a decrease of 13.9%. Then Oakland, California at 11.4%. San Francisco fell by 10.9%. Seattle, Washington down by 10.9% as well. And Sacramento, California also down by 10.6%. That's actually the biggest annual decline since at least 2015 for Seattle. And by the way, I just did some quick math here. 29 of the 50 most populous metros recording decreases in home sold prices. That represents approximately 58% of the 50 largest metros recording decreases in home prices. In contrast, on the opposite end of the spectrum here, home prices increased the most in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, a gain of 11.6%. Milwaukee, Wisconsin increased 9.5%. Last week, Milwaukee was actually a number one spot here. So Fort Lauderdale, Florida is in number one this week. In any case, Miami, Florida was up by 8.5%. Cincinnati, Ohio, a gain of 7.3%. And Providence, Rhode Island, prices increased 7.2%. Here's some more housing market takeaways for the 4 weeks ended April 9th this year, according to Redfin here. Again, the median home sold price at $364,000, down 2.3% from a year earlier, the biggest decline in more than a decade, and the 7th week in a row in which prices have decreased compared to 1 year ago after more than a decade of increases. Again, no mention that prices have increased by about 5.8% over the past 2 months. Anyways, asking prices actually were flat compared to 1 year ago, a gain of only 0.1%. That's the smallest increase since May of 2020. That's a median asking price. Also, the monthly mortgage payment on the median asking price home was $2,502 at the current 6.27% rate, according to Freddie Mac. That's down slightly from the peak they reached last month, but up 11% from a year ago, or a gain of $255 more per month. In other words, because rates have increased by about 1.4 to 1.3% from 1 year ago, to buy the same house today versus 1 year ago, you're going to have to pay approximately $255 more per month to buy that same house. Meanwhile, pending home sales were down 18.8% year over year, the biggest decrease in more than 2 months. On top of that, pending home sales fell in every single one of the 50 most populous U.S. metros. The decrease in the most in Las Vegas, down 45.7%. Those fell by San Jose, California, down by 43%. Seattle, down by 42%. Portland, Oregon, down by 41.9%. And Oakland, California, they saw a decrease of 41.1%. Now here's a look at pendings according to Redfin. Again, down 18.8%, but they are still increasing, but not the same rate we saw back in January and early February this year. So we're still well below 2022 and 2021, still increasing, but more or less flat over the past month or so. In regards to new listings, again, that fell 25.4% year over year, the biggest decrease going back to May of 2020. They did mention here that Easter fell on April 9th, which is the day that this 4-week rolling average ended. And it says here because of that, the decline would likely have been in line with the prior 4-week period's 22% drop. Also, a lot of people had school off last week or for the week ended April 9th. So likely due to Easter and of course spring break activities, that could be one reason why we're seeing huge decrease of new listings, this report here. So I already mentioned the areas in which new listings decrease the most, but here are the areas in which new listings decrease the least. That's actually in Texas. So Fort Worth, Texas, new listings only decreased 7.6% year over year, the smallest drop in the metros they track here. That was followed by Austin, Texas, down by 11%. Dallas, a decrease of 11.6%. Nashville, Tennessee, new listings fell 13.5%. And Houston, Texas, saw a decrease of 13.9%. Just taking a step back here, it's just kind of remarkable to see that in every single one of the 50 most populous areas, they saw a decrease in contracts being signed, but also a decrease of new listings as well. I've been saying this for quite some time, but home buyers as well as home sellers have more or less exited the market because of this lack of motivation to buy houses, and of course a lack of motivation to get your house listed for sale as well. And speaking of housing inventory, according to Redfin here, active listings were up by 10.4% year over year, the smallest increase in more than 5 months. On top of that, the total number of houses for sale or housing inventory posted an unseasonal early spring decrease. I've been mentioning this on the channel for quite some time as well, is that we should be seeing an increase of new listings as well as an increase of housing supply or housing inventory. But we're not seeing that because new listings have been falling for quite some time. And technically speaking, quite some time means that new listings have been decreasing by double digits for 8 consecutive months. One last thing I do want to mention regarding housing inventory is that Redfin's reporting an increase of only 10.4%, whereas Realtor.com as well as AltosResearch.com are reporting gains in the range of 50 to 60% on a year-over-year basis. To be honest with you guys, I have no idea why there's such a big discrepancy, but if anyone knows, please leave me a comment below. Moving on, the month supply in the US right now is sitting at a 2.8 month supply. That's down from 3.2 months from 1 month ago, but up from 1.9 months from 1 year ago. It says here 4 to 5 months housing supply is considered a balanced real estate market, with a lower number indicating it's a seller's market. I would say that, in my personal opinion, at 2.8 months, this would actually imply a seller's market, given the fact that the month supply is not too much far off the lows we had 1 year ago at approximately 1.9 months. Of course, real estate is local, and of course, every housing market's different here, but the more and more data we receive here is more implying that we have a seller's market than a buyer's market in most areas now. In any case, moving on here. The month supply, according to Redfin, is at 2.8 months. 1 year ago, it was at 1.9 months. This is something very interesting as well, because the month supply for this year peaked in early February at 4.5 months, but ever since then, the month supply has been decreasing greatly. Also, the current levels right now at 2.8 months is well above 2021 as well, when the month supply was just over 2 months. Let's also talk about how fast or how slow houses are selling right now, because the median days in the market is approximately 37 days. This again is a time period when a house is listed for sale and when they accept an offer from a home buyer. But it's not recorded until the house or the home sale is finalized though. Therefore, this is a lagging indication of our US housing market. So days in the market at 37 days, this means it's taking 15 days longer to sell a house right now compared to 1 year ago. Because 1 year ago at this time, days in the market was just under 22 days. They're also reporting here that approximately 28% of houses that sold during this last 4 weeks here sold above the seller's final list price. So 28% of houses selling over the seller's final list price. But of course, this means that approximately 72% sold at or below the seller's final list price. So at 28%, this is still higher than 2020, but back in 2020, this time we had a COVID lockdowns. So compare this to 2021. At 2021, this time, the percentage was around 40%. And back in 2022, the share was about 50%. So again, just like a lot of these other metrics here, it has been rising, but not the same rate over the past couple of years. And speaking of that, here's the average sale price to final list price ratio. That ratio is about 99%, meaning houses on average are selling for about 1% below asking, which is pretty phenomenal, because back right here, which is more or less January, the share was about 98%. Now it's getting very, very close to 99%. Still much higher, or actually still much lower compared to the same time frame in 2022, because then it was about 102%. So 1 year ago, houses were selling for about 2% over asking. Now they're selling for about 1% below. So what's your biggest takeaway from today's video? Mine is this continued lack of new listings, which is causing inventory levels to remain at historically low levels, even though we have far more houses for sale compared to the past couple of years. And that's causing upward pressure on home prices, as you guys all saw there, regarding home sale prices increasing by about 6% over the past 2 months alone. Very volatile and confusing housing market this year, to say the least. But what's your biggest takeaways? Please leave me a comment below. I appreciate you guys watching my video here, and of course, supporting my YouTube channel. Hope you guys have an awesome day. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.